Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, depending on when you're listening to this lab presentation. Okay, so my name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this section. So today we want to be considering the CISCO NetAcad CyberOps labs. I'm sure you have recordings for all of the slide presentation. So we want to walk through most of these labs. So I'm going to be recording some of the selected labs. I'm going to be touching on lab 1.15. That's the very first lab. This is more of a research. The very first one is more of a research. So I'm going to be touching on this lab that has to do with installing your virtual machines. The first thing is prepare your computer for virtualization. The second thing is to import the virtual machines. So one of the first things you want to do to take care of the labs for the CISCO CyberOps is to make sure you have packet tracer. So let me list them out here. So you want to have packet tracer installed. You want to have the Oracle VirtualBox. Once you have Oracle VirtualBox, you want to download and import these two machines. You want to import the CyberOps appliance. You also want to import the security onion. So this is roughly about, I think 800 and something MB. It's not to a gig. This is roughly about 200-300 MB. This is 3 gig. I think this is a gig or so. I can't remember. I'll show you that. So one of the things you want to make sure that your system has at least 8 gig of RAM, right? You want to make sure that if you have that, it will help your system to be able to run most of this lab very smoothly. And one thing you need to notice is that for all of the labs that we have, that you already have access to, they are all step-by-step. So there are labs you could run by yourself. The instructions is very explicit. Okay, so I'll walk through some of them. Now, next you want to do after, if you're getting ready to install your labs, or rather to run through your labs, is you prepare your host computer. So how do you prepare your host computer? One of the first things you want to do is to download and install Oracle VirtualBox. So this is the link. You have this lab document. It is 115. You get to this link. By the way, I also want to log into the NetAcad platform, netacad.com. You must have access to this platform. If you don't have access to this platform, you could send a message so that you're signed up for the CISCO CyberOps course. So I want to make sure that I'm signed in so that I can show you how to get some of these lab softwares. Now, you have the Oracle VirtualBox. That's the first software you want to have aside your packet tracer. Now, if you're running Windows, you could click on this link and you download. If you're running Mac, this. If you're running any of the Linux variants, you could install that. So, but most of us are going to be running on the Windows or the Mac OS, the Windows or the Mac OS. So this is the link you click on and you download and install. I already have it here, which is the Oracle VirtualBox. So this is it. Rather, Oracle VirtualBox. So this is it here, Oracle VirtualBox. So I click on it, that's going to open up. So I already downloaded this. I have this in my PC. So once you have that, I'm going to show you how you're going to now download the other items and import them. So I'll close this up while this guy signs in. So I'll put in my email. my password. So we'll go back to the instructions. So the instruction said we should navigate to this link. I've already done that and download the Oracle VirtualBox. Once you have the Oracle VirtualBox, the next thing you want to do is to download the virtual machine files. So you have two files that you want to download, the CyberOps workstation and the security onion OVA file. Now you're told to navigate to the CyberOps Associates virtual machine. So this is the link here, right? So I will open up my browser, get to that link, and so CyberOps, CyberOps. So I've taken this course quite a long while ago. So once you are done with the course, most times, depending on the duration of the course, you don't have access to the platform again, but you could resubscribe as an alumni. Once you do that, you're able to have access to the course content like you have now, but you wouldn't have quiz, you wouldn't have exams, so that you just have continued access to the course content. So once I get into the CyberOps course, I get into the platform, I go to my learning. Once I go to my learning, or you could come here and say my learning. Once you sign into your NetApp card, you come here and say I'm learning. Next, you want to do, you want to locate your course that you signed up for. Once you locate that, you click on launch course. Once you click on launch course, next thing you want to do is go to resources. That's where you're going to see all of the resources. So that I'll open this in a new link. Then for those of us that don't have the packet tracer, you could click on this link, resources, click on this, and you're going to see the clear-cut instructions on how to download packet tracer. Now, I also advise most of us that are new to networking, that are new to CISCO courses, some of the labs, you might do them on packet tracer. So I want to advise that you take this course, right? It's on the Skills for All. It's a 2 hours course for packet tracer. It's just a 2 hours class. You could just right click. You could sign in with your same CISCO and NetApp card login details. I'll tell you how to do that. Okay. So once you have, once you get into So once you have clicked on resources, the next you want to click on this CyberOps Skill Challenge Mission 1. Once you're here, it will open up the first challenge you actually ought to run when you start the CISCO CyberOps. So you click on download the student guide and OVA files, right? Download the student guide and OVA files. So the actual direct link to download all the VMware is this, right? If I want to put that in the chat box. So this is the link you could use to download all the OVM files, all the OVA files. So what you need to do is sign into NetApp card, then navigate to netappcard.com/portal/CyberOps-associate-virtual-machines-VMS. So once you log in and you come to this link directly, you're able to have access to this page. So once you have access to this page, what you want to do is to click on this link and download the very current. So I don't know when you're going to be watching this video. You click on this link and you can download the CyberOps workstation and the security onion files. Now, this is what you're going to be using to do the labs for the later version of the later part of the training. So if you click on this, of course, it will start downloading the virtual machine. So see it, CyberOps Workstation OVA. So it's about 3.5 gig. I already have that here. Let me open a new tab. I already have that. So I have that. Softwares. So I already have it here. Look at it. The CyberOps workstation is 3.5 gig. I already have that file downloaded. So make sure you download that file. Then I'm going to tell you how you're going to import the file. Okay, once you download this, you also want to download this. So we go back to the lab instruction. So the next thing we are told to do is after we download Oracle VirtualBox, this is it, this is the Oracle VirtualBox. We have it. The next thing we want to do is download the CyberOps workstation and the security onion file. So you must make sure you have enough internet access and it's as fast as possible. Then next you want to do in part 2 of this lab is to import the virtual machine into the VirtualBox. Step 1 is open VirtualBox, click on File, Import Appliance. So this is it. File, Import Appliance. You just navigate to that your file. So for me, this is it. Softwares. This is it, right? So I just tap on this. If I open up, it will load and I say next, right? Because I already have it here as CyberOps Workstation. So it's naming this one as CyberOps Workstation 1, right? Then you click on import. Once you do that, you will now have it as a machine here. So that's all for importing your virtual machine. So since I have it here, if you have it here, what you want to do is, like I said, make sure that your current system have up to 8 gig RAM. In as much as possible, you could get your system up to 12 gig or 16 gig. That will be very fast for you. You could come here once you've imported. By default, I think it's about 1 gig. Let's try that. Let's see that. Import OVF software. So you just navigate to where you have the file. Next thing next. So by default, it's 1 gig RAM. So that will be very, very slow for you. So what you want to do that is if you've imported it, you tap on this button and you could increase the RAM. The RAM of this system is 8 gig. That's why it's giving that maximum. So you want to have some breathing space for your local machine. So I can keep it at 6 gig. Just type 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yes, I keep it at 6 gig. So but I make sure that I don't have this guy running and this guy running at the same time, right? So that the system does not slow up. So I keep this at 6 gig so that I can open this guy, I can launch this guy very, very fast. So I can start it. I can start the machine. So let's go back to the labs. So what does the lab say next? Open VirtualBox, click on File, Import Appliance to import the virtual machine. In the appliance to import, when you specify the location like I did, you indicate the location where you already downloaded it and click on Next. The next thing is going to do is you could review the settings, you could import. Once you're done with that, you're done with part 2. The next thing you want to do is start the virtual machine and log in, right? So this is it. I just click on start. So I have to start before I log in. So the question is, what details am I going to use to log in? Now, when you start the machine, you might have this message about internet, right? On configuring which internet, which NIC card, which network card do you want the virtual machine to use to connect to the internet or connect to other network? So you could follow through this. So everybody might have different issues. So if you have issues with that, you could inbox on the mentorship group. I'm going to answer that. But a lot of persons will just have a very smooth ride. All you just need to do is to start the machine, and it will prompt you to log in. So you're now being told that this is the username and this is the password. So I have it here already. So the machine is starting. So I'll allow that and cancel this up. So this virtual machine is running on 6 gig. The more the RAM size, the faster. So what else is remaining for us? Notice the keyboard and mouse focus. When you click inside the virtual machine, your mouse and keyboard will operate at the get operating system. Your host operating system will no longer detect the keystrokes or mouse movements. Press the control key to return keyboard and focus to the host operating system. So once you are here, you could use your control to move within, or you just click out of your taskbar, or we use your Windows D to get back to your desktop of your host machine. Okay, so let us wait for this guy to start up. So while that is going on, let's look at the remaining part of the lab. So once we have successfully installed Oracle VirtualBox, downloaded the Security Union and the CyberOps workstation, the next thing we want to do is log in, like we're doing now. After we've logged in, the last step, the third thing we want to do in this application is for us to familiarize ourselves with the virtual machine. We want to see the desktop, we want to go to the terminal, we want to see the file manager, we want to see the browser, we want to use the search tool, we want to see our current home directory, right? So we will run through this last part once we are into the machine. Okay, it's still loading. Let me pause the recording, and once it's up, I'm going to let you know. So once you're in this environment, we'll go back to the lab and look for the instruction. The next thing we are told to do is to sign in, right? So we are told to sign in. When the boot process is complete, the virtual machine will ask for username and password. Use the following credentials to log into the virtual machine. So analyst and CyberOps. So get back to that place. Analyst, CyberOps. So I log in. So what's the next thing we're told to do? Familiarize yourself with the virtual machine. So I'll run through some of these stuffs here. Okay. So you have, let me share my screen. So you have, once you're logged in, one of the things you want to do is you want to go to your terminal, dir directory, cd into desktop, your normal Linux command, desktop ls, you're trying to view what is inside. Applications, what do I have here? I have my web browser. I have accessories. I have Vim. Vim is a text editor. CyberOps, IDLE, SCTE, Wireshark. You can open up Wireshark. System, you have XTEM, you have Oracle VirtualBox. So you can even virtualize within the Linux environment. You have multimedia, you have internet. You want to go to Firefox. What else do you have here again? You have a file manager. So this is the desktop, this desktop environment. I'll close this terminal. So this is the desktop environment. You have home, you have file system. If you click on file system, what do you see? So this is Wireshark, for instance. So the Wireshark, just like you have in your Windows, we're going to wait for some time. So these are some of the adapters. So, okay, these are some of the adapters. This is a guide. This is my browser. Consider Firefox. I can say shop. Shop on Amazon, right? So I want to see if You see the internet connection, whether I have an internet connection with the host. Yes, it's connected using network address translation, NAT. So I wait for this guy and see if this guy can connect, right, to the internet. Then with respect to my Wireshark, yes, I see my Wireshark is having some connection. It's reading the connection on these two adapters. So I could capture the flags, right, for that particular adapter I've highlighted, and I can see the exchange between the source and destination, right? So when you learned the open system interconnects, the different frames you have. So you have transmission control protocol, you have internet protocol, Ethernet 2 frame 1, which is the physical layer. I normally use the acronym of what's it called? Please do not take sweet potatoes alone. So physical layer, data link layer, physical link, data link. Please do not network layer, take transport layer, suite, session layer, potatoes, presentation layer, alone, application layer. So that's the 7 layers of the OSI model, open system interconnect. So you see it's somehow represented here. So this is the physical layer, the frame, these two. Then this is the layer 2. This is, I think, layer 3. Then you have transmission control protocol. So across the network, as you have information moving between points, so you have that being captured, being recorded within Wireshark. So we could see what is happening between this system and other systems, or other system back to our system. So there are some labs we're going to run with respect to Wireshark that is within our model. So that is just an overview of the Wireshark application within the Oracle VirtualBox. Of course, I can stop this stuff. I can also save this guy. If I save it, I could try to save it, let's say, in my downloads or in my desktops. I call it a CyberOps Lab, 27th of February, 2022. I could save this file. All right, close this guy. Okay, let me try again. I don't know why it's not picking the internet. Okay, but I think it's seen something here. Okay, yes, I think the internet is going through now. So you see, I could browse within my virtual environment. We'll click on this. Let's assume I want to shop. Then I have my file system. So you have your file manager. So you have, these are the crust, the core content of the Linux operating system. For most Linux operating system, you have the bin, the boot, the dev, the etc. I think it's this etc where you could drop, if you are doing development, that's where you could drop your files. Then you have home library, you have var, you have users, you have temporary files, you have system files. var, a moment, let me see something. var, library. Okay, I was trying to check up something. Boot dev home library options from this. Okay. Now the thing is that you know, the Linux environment you have that is being done by CISCO, it's specifically tailored for most of this lab. So you might not get all the things you will see in a normal Linux environment, right? You know, it's the open source, so it can be adapted for different purposes. So I didn't say one of the things I'm looking out for. Okay, so you see, I could shop here. So the browser works. So you could, once you get into your virtual environment, you could do whatever you want to do within the environment. Okay, that's that. Then in one of the labs, yes, I want to close the 3 labs, the 3 tabs. In one of the labs, you have been told what are the applications you have under CyberOps. It is IDLE, Scientific TE, that's SciTE, then Wireshark, right? IDLE is a Python environment. Then I think we've looked at the file system. Let me close that. We've looked at the analyst, the folder. So this is just my desktop, that file I saved now, which is, I think I should see it here also. Okay, I think I saved it within that desktop. So this is the Python shell. This is 3.8, very, very current. These are the three files, this, and this. So if you program in Python, you could do just basic maths in Python. If x is 5, if y is 10, so do x times y, right? So this is the Python environment. You could do this to do game development, do basic analysis and the rest. Okay. So if we've gone through those basics, I think there's one or two things we need to do on the terminal in the labs. So familiarize yourself with the virtual machine. So I've done that. Show the desktop, terminal application, file manager, web browser, search tool. I think I didn't touch on this, and I did this user home directory. Now the question is, list the applications in the CyberOps menu. We did that. Ideally, SCITE and Wireshark. That's this guy. This guy. This is CyberOps menu. These are the three guys you have there. What else again? Open the terminal emulator application, type IP address, the prompt to determine the IP address of the virtual machine. So IP address, I go to the terminal and I type IP address, right? So 127.0.0.1/8. So you have, which is the loop back. Then you have, let me see if I have any other IP address here. So I think you have about 4 adapters here. 1, 2, 3, I think I'm 4. I think that's why also when you run the Wireshark, you have many adapters too behind the scenes, right? The system has been configured that way for you to be able to run all of the labs that CISCO wants you to run. Okay, the next thing is so what's the IP address assigned to your virtual machine? Like I said, loopback address is 127.0.0.8. So you have loopback address, you have local address, you have public address. So my public address, for instance, is going to be my IP address. So my IP address is the IP address that my ISP gives to me, 127.168.341.80. That's depending on the mask, depending on the router I'm connected to, the public router I'm connected to. Then my IP address is going to be the one my router or my network assigns to me within the network. Then my loopback is actually the network of the IP address of my network itself. Having good networking skill set is also a good thing. I advise you, if you don't have that basics, you want to do that, because it's going to help you when it comes to cyber security. Because one of the things you're going to be doing as a SOC analyst, most of the things you're going to be doing with respect to scanning networks, scanning web applications. Of course, the web applications are on web servers, are going to hover around networks. So it's good you have some good background in networking. If you don't, you take up courses in those respects, and it's going to really help you. Okay. So back to the labs. So locate and launch the web browser application. Can you navigate to your favorite search engine? Yes, we did that. We were able to navigate to Google. All we did was to come to applications. We go to accessories, internet. Yes, Firefox, right? And there's a way to also, you could install other browsers within this system. But this system is kind of closed. It's not allowed to do some things. It's restricted for you to run the labs provided. If you want to do all of those configurations and additions and the rest, you could use the Kali Linux box for all of that. So that's more open and not controlled. Shut down the VMware. So how do you shut down this machine? You could click on, from the VirtualBox file menu, click on close. So you have options to save the machine state, send shutdown signal, or to power off the machine. So file, close. So you see the options here, save the machine state, send shutdown, or you power off. There's another option here in the lab, which is on the CLI. To do that on the CLI, you type sudo shutdown-h now. Sudo shutdown-h now. So I'll cancel. If I want to do this, I run this, or I say sudo shutdown-h now. So you are using sudo so that you can have administrative rights. So it's requesting for the password, which is analyst. I type that. It's didn't I get it? I think the password is CyberOps, right? The password is CyberOps. The username is analyst. The password is CyberOps. Right, so it's going to shut down the system. So either I use this close, shut down, or I use the command line to shut down. So I think that's the end of this particular lab, the very first lab that has to do with you setting up this particular machine. So what are the advantages and the disadvantages of using a virtual machine? Okay, with a virtual machine, you're able to test new applications or operating system without affecting your host machine. Yes. So like this host machine is the Core i5, 8 gig RAM. Most of the things I ran on this virtual machine were kind of fast because I apportioned 6 gig RAM to the machine. This is it, right? I apportioned 2 gig RAM to this particular machine. If you also imported the security onion, same thing, you could start, I think also apportion 6 gig RAM to it. But what you do is that, for instance, for this system that is an 8 gig RAM, you don't want to apportion 6 gig, and run both of them at the same time. Of course, you'll be picking 6 gig and 6 gig, of course, you don't have the rest 6 gig. So you want to make sure that if you're running these two machines, you want to run one, shut it down, run the second one, you shut it down, so that you can have enough breathing space for your host machine to be able to function. So this is a little bit fast because I already apportioned 6 gig to this. If you apportion if you leave the default 1 gig, I've told you how to change that, right? If you leave the default 1 gig on this machine, what's going to happen is that most of the things you're going to run is going to be very, 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 very slow. Okay, so the advantage is that you could test new applications without affecting the host machine. You could save your current state, like we said. You could close the virtual machine. If you have issues, you could revert back to where you are, and you could start all afresh, right? Your OVA file, you can keep it so that whatever that happens to this, you can easily delete the virtual machine, right? You could easily remove it, you could delete it, right? You could clone it, you can create a duplicate of all of the things that you have within that system, the files that you saved, the configuration that you did and whatever. You could clone it, you could also even export it and save it as a file, so that in another system, you can also import this same appliance, right? Okay, I think that's the end of this lab. We'll move over to the other labs. Thank you very much. If you have questions, please don't forget to comment or to put up notes in the mentorship group, and I will be happy to respond to you.